Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. This is going to be probably the next to the last video, or the next to the last video. But so we are going to cover the wiring for the Revolution. For this locomotive, it's going to be very simple. The class lights are painted over, so I'm not really worried about those. I have made up the LED headlights, which you saw in a previous video. Those are just slid in, and then a little bit of hot glue. I just drip a little bit of hot glue and let it run down in the side there, and yeah, the headlights are secure. So what we've got is the non-plug-and-play adapter is what this is particularly called. And if you didn't see the last video, this is the older style. The new style has a screw terminal. These are my favorite style because they've got the fuses. If you have a derailment or it picks a switch, these will blow before the Revolution will. So all we have is the motor pickup are the two wires, and those are together. And like I explained in the previous video, those are black to red and red to black because the motor blocks are reversed. These are going just straight to the motor. Now you also notice there's some extra wires coming out. This is for a Phoenix sound card. Typically you get your power off the motor. So at my junction here, at my splice between this, I just connected in my sound card to the motor side. If I had needed power from the track power side, the red and the black, which is back here, I could have picked up power off this splice if I needed that. Some sound cards will need that, some don't. This one just picks it up right off the, yeah, just the left rail, right rail. So, and with that said, we are on the power pickup side, and for this locomotive, you can, for the GP9, the GP38, the F units, most of the USA trains, locomotives, they will have this multi-wire pickup, and that's your clue that this is the power pickup. The two wires are the motors. So, and again, because the motor blocks are backwards, you'll notice these are black to red, red to black. Not gonna have any problems there. And so we've got our middle three wires, which is for our lighting. The Revolution will push a lighting circuit. The blue wire is actually positive, and then you've got your two negatives over here. And I've got my two yellow wires for the positive on my LEDs, and the 1K resistors are wired in way down here. And then I've got my two negative wires, which this one is hiding under the speaker, as you can see. So that takes care of the lighting circuit. So that's what all the wires are for. And this is a Phoenix P5, and this is going to also plug back in up here, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. Over here we've got our Aristo-Craft Revolution, and this is a first generation. Somebody was asking the other day about, they were told that the old version would not work with the new version, which is a total lie. The old version will work with the new remote, the old remote will work with the new ones, and vice versa. So this will plug into here. This does not have sound. You'll notice there's no cap boards built in. And then coming out of the Phoenix card, there is this wire harness. You'd follow the directions for which color wire goes into which terminal. And then on the Revolution side, you have a rainbow cable. Since this is a P5, it's really meant for DCC. I can only control two functions, The blue wire, which is cut off here, is number 1 on the remote. The green wire is number 2, yellow wire is number 3. In this case, the yellow wire will trigger a horn, and the green wire will trigger the bell. So this, and there's, as you can see, there's a few more wires up here you can trigger: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This plugs into the Revolution, and boom, we've got our setup pretty much done. The only thing we'll have to do is just tidy up this wiry mess. So what I'll do is I'll take a few minutes, and I've got a half dozen zip ties. We'll clean it up, and basically when we come back, we'll be ready to put it all in together. The only thing I want to mention real quick before I stop is this is just a little paint lid, if it looks familiar, and the speaker fits perfectly right on it, and then I just hot glued it together, and you won't believe, yeah, it sounds really, really well, even in this application. So that's just another different way to do your sound. I don't always put them in the fuel tank, so on this locomotive I think I'm gonna put an extra weight in the fuel tank. I do like to have a couple of engines with some extra weight in them, just to give a little bit of extra pulling power. But yeah, the next step will be use the zip ties and clean everything up wiring wise. And the biggest reason that you want to do this, you don't want to just leave it like here and just start shoving, is, and I can preach from experience, these stanchions, you better believe the wire will get caught right over top of it, or you will have multiple wires, or worse, you'll have wires get caught just like this on the side, shoved down, and the shell will actually cut and break your wire. So wire management isn't to make it look nice at all. That's the last really thing on my mind. Wire management, cable management, wherever you want to call it, getting all this together is to make sure that when we put the shell back down, it lines up on the holes. Something else that I'll tell you, my 10-year-old was helping out. He put the exhaust fans back in the shell. Typically that's one of the last things I do, because I like to leave the exhaust fans out so I can look into the shell and see where my wires are and where the screw holes are. So as I'm pushing the shell back down, I can see, oh, I've got a yellow wire that's about to get in the way. I can usually reach down in there, just move it out of the way. Sometimes I'll use a long pair of tweezers, just reach in and then just let the shell just go back down on. So next thing I'll do, I'll get it all pushed back together, zip tied up, and the next video we'll get ready to basically batten up the hatches. So all right, we'll see you next time. Hey everybody, as you can see, I've got some wires tidied up. I have screwed on the battery boxes over here, as well as the cab interior. This is separate from the actual cab. I've put on my windows on the inside over here, and glued my windows over there and all that. We've got a door. It's MIA right now, but since it comes in from the outside, drops in, when I find it, I'll put it in and go. This will slide in from the top in just a moment. I already ran my wires underneath, because those will need to go up under there, and I've already put the unit on my test track, linked it, everything runs well, sounds great, and so now we're at that point where we're almost ready to put everything back together. And this is where you want to make sure you've got everything tidied up. This is I sort of just let it sit like this, and I know the cab, and this is where I'm going to take it out on the layout and run it for at least a half hour and make sure everything's good. Run it one way for a little while, run it the other way, I'll throw some couplers on it here in just a second, and make sure that everything is good. I like to do this. This keeps the frame, the shell on the frame, and I won't lose anything. And so I'll have to take these two off later, put everything back down on, but this is how I like to test run them. It helps keep everything together, and typically I don't lose anything this way, and wires don't get snagged and whatnot. But yeah, and so we'll do that, and then come back in and then put it all together, and that'll be that. We'll put the handrails on. I'll show you, you know, handrails, and boom, that'll be that. So all right, we'll catch you on the next video, and after we test run it, and I'll let you know if we find anything, we notice any glitches or any whatnot. So all right, till the next time, bye.